Kaleidoscope, a weekly public affairs program brought to you in partnership with the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, Kaleidoscope Magazine, and News Channel 5.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast today. Dr. Carolyn Landis is a licensed clinical psychologist at University Hospital's Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital. She will share with us some of the challenges of childhood obesity. And then later we will hear from Danielle Lockhart. She's Associate Director for Education and Youth Development at the Urban League of Greater Cleveland. And later on the broadcast, the President and the CEO of the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, your friend and mine, Marcia Martha Be, will give us an update on how the organization is doing these days. Good morning, everyone. I'm Leon Bibb. This is Kaleidoscope. And so we begin with Carolyn Landis, PhD, Development Behavioral Pediatrics and Psychology at Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital. Good to have you with us.
And great to be here.
We're talking a little bit about obesity among children. First off, why don't we define the word which we throw around all the time, obesity?
I'm glad you said that because it's so important to think about how that's defined. And for children, it's body mass index, but it's just not like for adults. They're not the same ranges. So we compare it to the Center for Disease Control population data, and we look at BMI for age percentiles. And if the child's percentile is above the 95th, they're considered to be obese. So I think that's really important information that parents can ask their pediatricians, not just what's your percentile for your height, what's your percentile for your weight, what's your BMI for age percentile? Is it above the 95th?
When I was growing up, we used to talk about kids who might have been on the chubby side. I think that was the word that was used. It was kind of said lovingly, but being on the chubby side is not necessarily good, especially for children. Tell us why.
Well, I mean, and that's another good point, too. There's an overweight category that's the 85th to the 95th percentile where kids are starting to get to be obesity. But it's not good because there's a lot of health risks that can even happen very young. High blood pressure, type 2 diabetes. I mean, we see kids at Rainbow that are ages 10 and have type 2 diabetes.
What's happened to our society? Why is there this explosion of obesity among children?
I think all the experts are trying to get a handle on that, and it's from so many different factors. It's not just one. I mean, it's decreased physical activity, increased sedentary behavior. It's these food deserts in our neighborhoods. It's school and foods in the school and vending machines in the school. It's parenting has changed. It's not, the rules aren't there that used to be there.
Well, kids don't get as much exercise as they should get. Is that one of them? Is that a problem?
That's one too.
And they don't get it even in the schools, in the gymnasium, because we've cut back on all kinds of programs inside our schools.
That's right, and also extracurricular. You know, some of the sports teams aren't there in some of the school systems too, so we've reduced that. Yeah.
So how do we get around this? How do we fix it? Where's the entry point to fix this?
Well, I think the entry point is coming at it from so many different angles, and you know, there's studies across the country going on. NIH, you know, is funding all these. Impact is going on now at Cleveland, which is an NIH study, and we're looking at changing the community. For example, there's the We Run the City program with the Y, which is teaching kids to run part of the Cleveland Marathon that's going on here. And there's the schools. What can we do? We have school navigators working with the schools. How can we make those healthy environments? And then there's the family and the kids. What can we do to teach them the healthy lifestyle behaviors? And it has to happen at all these levels, and policy too.
Yeah. What can mother and dad do at home? What must they do at home?
Okay, I think that's so important. Authoritative parenting. Authoritative is firm control but warm. So there needs to be rules about what you eat in terms of, yes, you eat a vegetable, but maybe you can pick from one or two. You know, maybe you'll have a little bit of a choice. There has to be rules about how much TV you can watch or how much video gaming you can do. But it can be done with warmth. You can figure out when in the day you're going to do it, but you're only going to watch 2 hours or less a day. That sort of thing. Parents really have to think about the rules and stick to them.
So like so many other things in life, the building block is the family. That's where all of this stuff begins.
Yes, especially for younger kids, because younger kids can only eat what's given to them, and they can only be physically active if they're helped to go places and be physically active. So especially for them, yes, I think it's really important.
You and I were chatting before we started doing the broadcast today that my parents used to tell me if I didn't like what Mother cooked, Dad said, I will see you at breakfast, that's our next meal. But there will be no fast food, there will be no desserts, and eventually I would come back to that meal maybe I didn't want because of all the vegetables in it, and I consume those vegetables. Maybe I ate one pea at a time. It may have taken 2 hours, but I got the peas down, I got the beans down. Is that what parents must do, what my dad and mother did?
I think that a variant on that is true, and part of the problem is that family meal times are really going down where people don't eat at the same time. And there's research to show that when they do eat at the same time, that the kids do eat more fruits and vegetables. So I think that model, we need to figure out, even if it's not every family member, but how can at least a couple of them eat together? And how can we get back to that, eating our vegetables?
We're going to continue our conversation, but I want to put a phone number on the screen. There you see it, 844-1966. More information on everything we are talking about. That's in the 216 area code. We're talking with Carol Landis, PhD, from Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital. She works with behavioral pediatrics and psychology there. You mentioned obesity, not obesity, you mentioned diabetes and high blood pressure. We are seeing larger numbers of these kinds of problems among our children.
Right, right. And you know, type 2 diabetes used to be called adult onset diabetes, and now it's called type 2 because kids as young as 5 have been getting this.
Can people call your office and get more written information on this, on what they can do, or advice over the telephone?
Well, the 1966 number is for Healthy Kids, Healthy Weight, which is the weight management program at Rainbow. So they can call if they're concerned about their child, or they can also call their pediatrician to have their child seen and get information. But you can go directly to Healthy Kids, Healthy Weight and get information.
I've got 30 seconds remaining. What happens in this Healthy Children's thing?
Okay. They go through an evaluation with a psychology assistant, a medical doctor, an exercise physiologist, and a nutritionist. And then from there, they can go on to a group program, which is a 12-week program. And then after that, it's individual meetings for a year, once a month.
That's at Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital.
Yeah.
Many thanks, Dr. Carolyn Landis. She's Development, Behavioral Pediatrics and Psychology at University Hospital, Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital. Good to have you on the broadcast, Carolyn.
Thanks so much for having me.
I appreciate your advice, and you are right on, and so was Dad all those years ago. Okay. I'm going to take a break. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about the Urban League's focus on education after we do this first for you. Welcome back to more of Kaleidoscope. I'm Leon Bibb today I'm Leon Bibb every day, I should add. With me today is Danielle Lockhart. She's Associate Director of Education and Youth Development at the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, and she works very closely with high school and college students, and here to tell us about the programs and how students can participate in these programs. Hi, Danielle.
Hi, how are you?
Jones Lockhart.
Yes, that's me. Every day.
Yeah, every day. I like that. So tell us a little bit of how you work with high school kids and how you work with college students.
Well, we have a myriad of programs here at the Urban League, and one of the programs that we offer that is of great interest to a lot of people is our OUI, Operation Urban Impact State Testing Preparation Program, which we offer for free for any student in the region. They can come and get tutoring and assistance to take what we lovingly call the OGT, the Ohio Graduation Test Prep. They can come Monday through Thursday from 4 to 6 and get support in math, science, social studies, reading and writing, and help preparation for the test, especially coming up in March.
Now this OGT, this prep test, Ohio
graduation test, yes.
This is what they've got to pass in order to get out of high school.
Exactly.
Graduate from high school.
Yes.
Yeah, no. So you can help them along, get on that road to getting out of high school and on the road which keeps on going beyond high school.
Exactly.
And hopefully into college and institutions of higher learning after that.
And completely graduating. So when they come to us for that, we have certified teachers that will work with them in preparation for the test, and we don't just teach to the test, but we teach life skills that can help them as they move through their high school and their college preparatory process. We also have ACT testing prep as well, because that is a college admissions test that is necessary for them to go to college.
The high school and college access program, that's the overall goal, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It kind of says it. What's right there? High school and college access program, getting kids ready for school.
Yes. Not only getting them ready, but getting them in and then ultimately graduating, because we don't just leave them when they go to school. We do follow them for 2 years and give them that kind of support, and then help them become a part of the Urban League network so that they know that they're not just, gone once they go away to school, or even if they stay local, they have a support system.
Earlier today, you and I were chatting about the Parent Empowerment Network. Network, PIN, as you call it.
The PIN.
What does PIN do, the Parent Empowerment Network?
Now, we are very excited about that. What that is going to be a 10-webinar series for parents to become familiar with the college access process. Everything from how to get their child to pick a school, to the FAFSA, which is the free application for student financial aid, which every parent should know about. Also, what happens once their child is gone? How is their life going to change? And then what they also can do to continue their educational process.
Yeah, life does change when they leave the house.
Yes, it does.
It changes greatly. We've gone through that several times, 2 times at least, with our 2 daughters. While you're here, we might as well bring up the college tour program.
Yes, our HBCU college tour. This is our 26th year. We are very proud of that. And it is March 30th through April 6th. And any information that the people would like, they can go on our website and find out about it, because we're going to be touring Central State and Wilberforce, Jackson State, Lemoyne-Owen. It's several colleges, and it's very, very exciting.
And these are called the historically black college and university tours. And for a relatively small amount of money, a couple of $100, a few $100 or whatever it is.
It's $650 this year, and that's a whole week. And see, that's the exciting part, is because we take them across the United States, expose them to large and small public and private schools, so they can choose what their best fit is, because ultimately we have to find a student's best fit so that they can complete the college process.
I know we've had some students that I know very well who have taken this tour, and it really, what I call whetted, W-H-E-T-T-E-D, it whetted their appetites for more education. They were kind of on the fence as to whether they were going to go to school, but when they went on this tour, everything changed, and they were with quality chaperones with the Urban League and with other students who were involved in choosing colleges, and they really got bitten by that college bug and says, I want some of that. And that's been a few years, and 3 years later, the kids are still going into their junior year in college, and that certainly is the goal.
Yes, we're very proud of them.
You really are excited about this now. The Urban League has always taken a stance on the importance of education and trying to encourage high schoolers to continue their education. Speak to that philosophy a bit.
Well, one of the things that we keep as part of our essential vision is that we understand that education is the key tool to being successful in life. So when we look at our high school students, we look at them as assets. We don't look at them as being problems. We look at them as being the key to all of our future. We don't want to work till we're 100, so we need to put a lot of energy around giving them all the supports they need to be successful, whether it's academic, social, emotional, physical. We put together programs that can support them in that process. So the youth program at the Urban League has always been about that, making sure that they can have all the tools they need to be successful.
And if people call the Urban League, they can get more information on everything that we've been talking about. Or you can go to the Urban League website. The website is ulcleveland.org. That's ulcleveland.org. The telephone number of the Urban League of Greater Cleveland is 216-622-0999. You see it at the bottom of the screen there. And Danielle Lockhart is Associate Director of Education and Youth Development at the Urban League of Greater Cleveland. Always good to have you on the broadcast, Danielle.
Always good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Danielle Lockhart, she's keeping the kids on the right pathway.
That's the goal.
And they're getting educated.
Definitely.
And that's the goal, too.
All right, then.
Thank you. Going to take a break in just a moment. We return, and Marcia Martha Be, CEO and President of the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, will be here with her commentary and with a few thoughts that, some things that she wants you to know. And they are very important things, I guarantee. Back in a moment. Welcome back to more of Kaleidoscope today. The president and the CEO of the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, one of our partners on this broadcast, by the way, is Marcia Martha Be, and Marcia is here to give us an update on the activities of the organization, the Urban League. Always good to see you, Marcia.
It's always good to see you too, Leon. Good to be back in the studio with you.
Yeah, you're getting ready for a lot of big events coming up.
Oh, we are, and particularly our Equal Opportunity Day luncheon, our annual event that's always at the Hilton Garden Inn, and it's going to be on this coming Thursday, November 15th at 11:30.
And it's always a big turnout for that event.
Absolutely.
Good meal, good speaking,
good meal,
good fellowship, and all of that.
Good emceeing, that you always provide for us.
I'm going to do that. I play a role in that too.
Yes, indeed.
Marcia always gets me in there one way or the other, and I always come not reluctantly but lovingly.
Lovingly, and we certainly do appreciate that. But you know, we're excited this year. You know, last year we had Mark Morial, our national president, to sort of come in and help us kick off our 95th anniversary. And so this year, you know, we decided that we really want to now talk about, since Mark was here last year, what has the Urban League really been able to accomplish over this next year? You know, one of the challenges that I get in the community all the time is the question about, after all this time, 95 years, how relevant is the organization still? Because of its history as a civil rights organization and a social justice, you know, many people think that those things are not as important anyway, anymore or today. And I simply say, you know, look at what's happening on our political front. Anytime we continue to have people for whom there is a great disparity from the rest of the folks, and we serve the African American community and other minorities, so we have a job to do. We have this cradle to prison pipeline that's going on, where higher numbers of our young men are going to prison. We have this whole disparity in the educational system. We have, even in our country, a whole skills gap between those individuals who are not trained for the jobs that are here. So there is a lot of work to do, and the Urban League is on the forefront of making sure that those issues are addressed.
Marcia, I'm going to ask you a question. Here.
Okay.
If you were a queen for a day, and they gave you a magical scepter, a magical wand, and you could say, now everything is fixed, what would you fix? Where would you start? Where would you say, this is what we do? Wow,
this sounds like a President Obama question. This is a tough one. I'm glad I wasn't on those debates. But, you know, I think the first thing that I would want to look at is really looking at the whole economic structure of our country, and look at where there are opportunities for jobs. I mean, and right probably at the same time that I was doing that, I would really look at the educational system and look at, because we're losing ground as a nation educationally. And if I could take my wand and tap something, that'd probably be one of the first things I would touch, would be the educational system.
And there are disparities in the amount of money that goes to education.
Yes.
Communities over here have much more money to put in the education of their communities. Yes. Communities over here have fewer dollars.
Absolutely.
Yet these are the same children, the same children in this state, the same children in the United States.
And those children are all going to be competing for the jobs, and they're all going to have to understand how to compete globally, not just in the United States, but how to compete in the global marketplace.
Everything has changed in our world, because if something happens in Japan, the stock market over there, or in Greece, or in China, or in France, it has a ripple effect here. If something happens in the New York Stock Exchange, it has a ripple effect in Hong Kong and the rest of the world. We really are kind of linked together economically.
We are.
It's a global marketplace in which we deal.
It is, and when children in other countries are doing better educationally than our children in the United States, that's a major concern for us to maintain position as a world power.
When we were kids, you and I are about the same time period coming up. I remember that all of a sudden we started getting more science, because the Soviet Union had done some things. The old Soviet Union had done some things in space. Sputnik. In the late 50s. And all of a sudden they had a satellite up and we did not.
That's right.
And all of a sudden somebody said, our American kids have got to start taking more science, because we are behind in the space race. You remember those times?
I do remember that, and you know what happened is our government and our educational systems all aligned to say that's not okay. And we've got to change that, because as a world power, we can't let Russia or any other country be ahead of us. I'm a bit concerned now, because it appears that there is not as much a sense of urgency about that across all sectors, and we've got to take that seriously.
And we've got 30 seconds in this segment. In fact, we're going to go into another segment. We're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the Equal Opportunity Day luncheon. We're going to talk about that, where people can get tickets, all of that.
Very good.
Taking a break right now. Marcia MacCabe continues in just a moment. Welcome back to more of Kaleidoscope. Good to have you with us. Right over my shoulder over here, you see a silhouette of a veteran of the, not a veteran, but a military person.
Yes.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that with Marcia MacCabe of the Urban League. Tell me about what's on your mind regarding veterans and military members.
Well, I'll tell you, the first thing we want to do with this being the traditional Veterans Day and celebration going on tomorrow, we first want to thank all those in our viewing audience who have served and let them know how much they mean to us and how much their service and their defense of this country has meant. And so I want to encourage everybody in our viewing audience that for any veteran that you see or any veteran that you know in your family, take time to thank them for their service. And James MacCabe, today on air, I thank you for serving.
Your husband, James.
And you too.
Me too.
You too, Leon.
Okay.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Glad to do it. Let's talk a little bit about Equal Opportunity Day Luncheon. That's coming up on Thursday, November the 15th.
Yes. The sponsors for that event are American Family Insurance and Dominion. And we're very glad they've been our sponsors now for a number of years. They continue to come back and support this event. And it's a gathering of the community that day to just celebrate equal opportunity in this country. We have lots of corporate friends, nonprofit friends, community friends that come in and celebrate with us. And we're going to be talking about what the Urban League is doing in a very unique way in this community. What's our niche? What makes it special that we do in the community?
And that's Thursday, November the 15th at 11:30 in the morning at the Hilton Garden Inn, which is the hotel which is on Carnegie at the corner of East 9th Street, catty corner from Progressive Field, the baseball park.
Yes, and we still have a few tickets left for that event, and you can contact us at our number 6220999, and we can help you with those tickets. We have a nonprofit rate of tickets for $65, and then of course our regular ticket price is 125 tables of 10 or 1,200.
We got about 45 seconds remaining, I do believe, and you're going to talk about all the things that the Urban League has been doing over the last year or so.
Absolutely. And just really helping to show how what we do connects with all of the agendas that are going on in our community, how we're trying to grow jobs in this community, how we're trying to change educational equity in this community. So we'll be able to connect the dots for you at the luncheon around how the Urban League fits.
We will see you there. Marcia MacCabe is the president and the CEO of the Urban League of Greater Cleveland. I'm Leon Bibb. That's going to do it for us. Good luck and be well.
Kaleidoscope, a weekly public affairs program brought to you in partnership with the Urban League of Greater Cleveland, Kaleidoscope Magazine, and News Channel 5.